The ground is soft after a night of rain. Somewhere in a river valley, a patch of mud holds a secret, a trail of footprints, preserved in silence. They are small, almost fragile, yet they tell a story of a being that stood upright, walked with purpose, and dared to explore a dangerous, unclaimed world. Long before the first cities, before even the first villages, humanity's ancestors roamed a planet, both breathtaking and brutal. The Earth was a wild theater, where life and death danced daily, and early humans were among the newest actors on the stage. Imagine it, vast open savannas, stretching endlessly under a blazing sun, deep forests hiding shadows that moved, and rivers glinting like silver snakes. But who were these early humans? The first of our kind were not alone. They shared their world with other hominin species, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and others who have since vanished into history. Our story doesn't begin in a single place, but in scattered pockets across Africa, where evolution's slow and patient work shaped a creature unlike any before. They were smaller than most predators, slower than many prey animals, and yet they survived. Why? Because their greatest weapon wasn't claws or fangs. It was a mind capable of imagining a tomorrow. Picture one of these early wanderers standing at the edge of a grassy plain. The wind carries the scent of rain, and something else, danger. A herd of antelope grazes in the distance. Somewhere nearby, a lion waits. The human grips a simple wooden spear, the tip sharpened by stone. Survival depends not only on strength, but on choosing the right moment to act or to disappear. In these early days, life had no comfort zone. Nights were dark, so dark that the stars felt like pinholes into another universe. Rain could turn the ground to a treacherous trap, and each sound a twig snapping, a bird's sudden flight could mean the difference between life and death. Yet, amid the danger, there was wonder. Imagine seeing fireflies for the first time, or hearing the low rumble of thunder rolling over an empty plain. For our ancestors, every discovery was a first. They learned where water hid in the dry season, how to read the footprints of animals, and which plants could heal a wound or take a life. The earliest footprints in our story are more than marks in mud. They are the start of a journey, one that would see humans spread from the heart of Africa to every corner of the earth. But to do that, they would need to master something far more dangerous than the beasts around them. Hunting, for early humans, was not a sport. It was a gamble with death. You didn't just stroll into the wilderness hoping to find dinner. You entered an arena where you might become the dinner. Yet, humans began to turn the odds in their favor. Their advantage, strategy. Unlike the solitary ambush of a leopard, or the raw power of a bear, humans hunted with patience, planning, and cooperation. At first, the tools were simple: sharpened sticks, stones shaped into cutting edges. But even these crude inventions tipped the scales. A well-thrown spear could strike from a distance. A stone blade could cut through hide and muscle, giving humans access to precious meat and marrow. And then came the hunt itself. Imagine a group of hunters fanning out across a plain, tracking a herd. They don't rush. They follow, wearing the animals down. This was persistence hunting, chasing prey not with speed, but with stamina, using the ability to sweat and regulate body heat. Eventually, the prey collapses from exhaustion. It was a brutal, exhausting dance of predator and prey. But over time, humans learned to think like their quarry, predicting where animals would go, understanding migration patterns, and even shaping the environment to guide herds toward traps. Meat was more than food. It was fuel. It gave energy for long treks, protein for muscle, and fats to feed the most important organ of all, the brain. With better diets, brains grew larger, and with larger brains came better strategies. Soon, the hunt was more than survival. It was identity. The shared danger and triumph of a hunt bonded early humans into something more than individuals. They became a team, a tribe. And yet, in the hunt's shadow, another revolution was brewing, one that would light the darkness and change everything. Fire was a miracle wrapped in danger. To control it meant warmth on frozen nights, protection against prowling predators, and the ability to turn raw meat into something safer, tastier, and easier to chew. But the first fires were gifts from nature: lightning strikes, volcanic eruptions, or wildfires sweeping across dry grass. The challenge was keeping the flames alive. Picture a group huddled around their precious fire, feeding it with twigs and dry leaves. They guard it through the night, shielding it from rain. Losing it could mean weeks without warmth. Eventually, humans learned the greatest secret: how to make fire themselves. rubbing sticks together, striking stones to create sparks. These were the first acts of human control over nature's raw power. Fire extended the day, allowing for nighttime storytelling, tool-making, and planning. It hardened spear tips, smoked meat for preservation, and gave comfort in the endless dark. It also ignited something in the human spirit, the idea that nature could be bent to human will. With fire, humans weren't just surviving, they were beginning to thrive. But the wild was not easily tamed. Beyond the flicker of firelight, predators still watched with glowing eyes. The Ice Age was home to creatures that seemed almost unreal today. Saber-toothed cats with teeth like daggers, woolly mammoths towering over men, cave bears that could crush a skull with one swipe. For early humans, these weren't creatures from legend, they were neighbors, rivals, and threats. Encounters were inevitable. Sometimes, humans were the hunters. Other times, they were the hunted. A mammoth hunt could feed a tribe for weeks, but one misstep could mean disaster. To face these giants, humans adapted, creating stronger spears, digging defensive pits, and using fire to scare predators. Yet, survival wasn't just about killing. Sometimes, the smartest move was avoidance, reading the land, sensing danger before it arrived, and moving camp to safer ground. Every battle with a beast wasn't just a fight for meat or safety. It was a test of human ingenuity, and each victory, however small, reinforced the belief that humans could outthink any threat. Still, there was another skill developing quietly in the background, one that would allow humans to pass on their hard-earned knowledge without starting from scratch each generation. Before words, there were gestures, grunts, and glances. A raised hand to signal danger, a low hum to calm a frightened child. Over time, these signals grew more complex. Communication wasn't just about sharing feelings. It was about sharing survival strategies. Which plants were safe? Where was the best water source? Which animal tracks meant danger? Eventually, sounds began to carry specific meanings. This was the birth of proto-language. With it, humans could plan hunts, coordinate movements, and tell stories. Stories were more than entertainment. They were survival manuals disguised as tales. A legend about a monster by the river might actually warn of crocodiles. Language strengthened bonds, allowing for trust and cooperation on a scale no other species could match. And with that, the tribe became more than a group of survivors. It became a culture. But even with words, the wild still demanded shelter, a place to rest, recover, and prepare for tomorrow's challenges. The elements were relentless. Blizzards, thunderstorms, and scorching heat could kill as easily as any predator. Early humans sought caves, using their stone walls as natural fortresses. But caves weren't always available, and not always safe, so they learned to build. Using wood, animal hides, and stone, they created shelters that could be moved or rebuilt. These homes became the heart of the tribe, a place where firelight flickered and voices mingled. Shelter was more than protection. It was permanence in a world of constant change. It was a declaration. We belong here, and from these small camps and shelters, something remarkable began to form. The first tribes. Blood and family were the first ties. But soon, bonds extended beyond kin. Tribes formed groups that shared not just resources, but identity. In a tribe, each person had a role: hunter, gatherer, toolmaker, healer. Together, they were stronger than any individual could be. Tribal life meant shared rules, shared stories, and shared survival. Disputes were settled within the group, and decisions were made collectively. The tribe gave protection. But it also brought new challenges: competition with other tribes for resources, land, and hunting grounds. And yet, from this unity grew the seeds of something even deeper: art, spirit, and the human drive to create. Somewhere deep in a cave, by the flicker of firelight, a human hand pressed against stone and left its mark. These paintings were more than decoration. They were windows into the mind. Animals, hunts, and symbols danced across the walls, telling stories without words. Art connected humans to something beyond survival, to meaning. Alongside art came rituals, dances before a hunt, offerings to unseen forces, and burial rites. For the dead, belief systems began to form, giving comfort in the face of uncertainty and death. The world was not just a place of danger, it was a place of mystery. But mystery did not erase the daily struggle for survival, and when resources ran thin, even the closest bonds could be tested. The wild was generous until it wasn't. Drought, harsh winters, and dwindling herds forced humans into desperate choices. Scarcity meant competition, sometimes with animals, sometimes with other tribes. Borders were defended, raids were carried out, and alliances were forged or broken. In these moments, survival required more than strength. It demanded diplomacy, cunning, and adaptability. Scarcity also pushed humans to innovate new hunting methods, better tools, and more efficient ways to store and share food. Each challenge strengthened the human grip on the wild and brought them closer to a turning point in history. It began, slowly, the first seeds planted, the first animals tamed. Humans were no longer just reacting to nature, they were shaping it. With agriculture came permanent settlements. With settlements came trade, leadership, and the beginnings of civilization. The age of pure survival was ending. The age of creation was beginning. Yet, the lessons of the wild never faded. The courage, cooperation, and creativity forged in those ancient days would carry humanity forward, through empires, revolutions, and into the modern world. The cavemen may be gone, but their legacy lives in every step we take, every fire we light, and every story we tell.